Hello. The
Muted.
intro actually worked today. Everyone has the correct names.
Let's go.
I did it right on the first try. Wowie zowie. Welcome
Wow.
everybody. So we're gonna be doing another episode of DialogBOX, but because you guys are here and because you're watching this live, I warned them we're gonna do a quick Q&A session for a little bit with chat. So thank you all for joining us in chat. If you want to
Yes,
ask
thank you.
any particular questions, any Zelda related questions, or any not too personal related questions, then this allows me to test out our fun chat feature where I can pop out your questions in chat. This better freaking work. Did it work? No, it didn't work. Hold on. It'll work. I promise you. It worked
Be
like
prepared,
15 minutes
guys.
ago. It did. Chat highlight. Put that in
Believe
there.
you.
There. Okay. Now, let's do it again. Where's my... There it is.
Yay.
Zelda!
We did it.
We did it. Can we hear me? No, we can hear me. We can hear Discord. So welcome. So yeah, if you guys, this is kind of like an ad hoc thing that I've been trying to do to say thank you for everybody who came to watch the stream live. So even when this episode goes to Spotify, because we have an audio version that you can listen to while you mow your lawn, you know, as you do, then you can, but like, you know, you can listen to the audio version and all that, but you won't get the Q&A session. So because you are here, ask away. If not, we can go ahead and get started with the episode. Oh, thanks, man. Look at this. Look at this.
Look at us. Look at us.
We've got Kyle the Pug here. I could just do first name too, or just say Kyle, I think. Unless that's his full name.
But he's Kyle the Pug.
Kyle the Pug. Kyle
He
the
is a pug.
Hedgehog.
He is a pug. Here, I'll scoot myself over so my face is. Wait, I think this way.
Yeah, we've got, so we got myself, I'm Laughingboy LP, we've got Forest Minish on the top right. We also have MissFushi Gaming on the bottom left, and Ultima Shadow X on the bottom right.
Wow.
We've got Fushi, like, complete with Master Sword and Hylian Shield.
Yeah.
Prepared.
Our first question, will
Holy
we see
fuck.
Redeads or Skulltulas making a return in Tears of the Kingdom?
I think
we saw
someone
a
said
Redead
there
in the
could be
trailer,
redeads,
right?
There was a Redead in the trailer.
Yeah.
And then I know that, well, like, the big question is, are we going to see Skulltulas? I would like to, from the perspective of this clearly seems like a darker game.
Mm-hmm.
I'd enjoy collecting those more than Korok seeds.
I would
Yeah.
definitely rather do gold Skulltulas than gold poop. Way rather.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. It seems like they're bringing back a lot of the old enemy types in this one, so that would be cool to see them again.
Yeah, it would be cool to see how they redesign a lot of those, because again, like, I mean, we'll get into it when we start talking about it, but the enemy variety in the first game was kind of limited, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to see some old enemies return. Because
I-
then that would go along really well with like the return of Ganon.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Like Dark
Mhm.
Nuts does be sick. I'd love to see Dark Nuts back.
Yes.
Get some
Mhm.
1v1 on Dark Nuts, and as well as Lionels.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like
Wait.
four-legged Dark Nuts, I feel like.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, watching that trailer and people going like, "Oh, Redeads!" Like, "Oh, these things are back," and I'm like, I didn't realize how like small the enemy like pool was in Breath of the Wild. When you really think about it,
It's
it
pretty
is kind
small.
of, it's pretty small comparatively. No Kirby's.
Yeah.
That's true.
They made up for it with like the different colors of enemies, like to show the
Yeah.
different difficulties, like blue bokoblins, red bokoblins, whatever. But like that's boring.
The JRPG staple of just, you know, palette swapping.
Yeah. We had our
Exactly.
slimes.
Inyo Dragon 7 says, "Heyo, how's it going, everyone?" I'm doing all right. Just going through tech issues. Same old, same old.
Hi, Dragon. Hi, Dragon. Welcome.
I am doing well. I'm excited to play Minish Cap again. That's pretty much where I'm at right now.
We were talking
Really-
about
Yeah,
that
we were just
before
talking
it
about that,
started.
yeah,
Oh,
we're like Tears of
we
the
all love the Minish
Kingdom.
Cap.
We want Minish Cap.
We can make this a Minish Cap podcast.
Minish Cap stream, let's go.
Would it be rude to just dump a Tears of the Kingdom theory on you to get your opinion? That's what the Q&A session's for, as long as it's appropriate.
Yeah, we want to hear
Yeah,
it.
hear
We
it.
want to hear
Yeah, shoot, we'll hear it. I'm all for it.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
I wish Hyrule Warriors played into it more, but
Oh, I was
Aw.
talking about like the original, really?
no, like
yeah,
Age of Calamity.
Age of Calamity. Still haven't
Yeah,
beaten it.
that was fun. Like my hands
Dodongos
hurt
was good.
so bad after beating that game.
yeah,
But
for
it was
sure.
really fun.
It
It
was
was my
fun.
first.
And Miss Terrico. I
Yes.
want Terrico to come back.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, please.
Oh. All right,
What?
we're waiting.
I
We're
want.
waiting for this Tears of the Kingdom theory. I actually saw a
He's gonna do
YouTube
that.
video that said that Tears of the Kingdom was like the end of a trilogy, and Breath of the Wild was game 2, and Skyward Sword was game 1.
Oh.
But I don't
Really?
know how
Oh.
like they would mix that together. So the theory is game's events will occur in part 10,000 years prior to the Breath of the Wild when the Sheikah technology was originally being constructed. We will learn that there is a common green power source probably associated with the Zonai, or their technology which is drawn from underground.
Mm.
Oh, we've got more. Oh god. This is reflected in Tears of the Kingdom footage by the green energy spirals, stone spirals, generate quality spawning with later location of shrines, and Sheikah towers being under construction and their roots growing underground to mineral deposits that the bokoblins are mining. All right, so
That's interesting. I mean, I hadn't really thought about how the Sheikah technology would play into the plot, sort of like that. I guess if it's like, because we also have to figure out like what's going on with the vehicles and everything too. I'm sure that's gonna be a part.
why do
of
they
it.
have
Yeah.
cars now?
Well,
Because
So,
Banjo
wait,
Kazooie
can
made
I
them
comment
both.
on this theory?
This theory?
Yeah, of course.
I don't think it can be 10,000 years prior to Breath of the Wild just because we see stuff in the trailer that like wouldn't have existed 10,000 years ago. Like you can see Hateno Village is kind of the way that it was before with like the ancient tech lab and whatnot. But I think you're onto something with like all the underground stuff, and I'm thinking that there were like maybe Sheikahs that were still underground or something, and then when Ganondorf was being revived, all of that is kind of coming back. Like all these enemies are maybe coming back from the past or something like that.
oh.
So I think there's more to that, to the underground piece.
Yeah.
I'm-
That's actually, yeah, that's possible. Like a time element playing part. Like that could open us up to new, like old
Yeah, because I
enemies
mean,
coming
there was
back.
already time travel established in Age of Calamity in a way, so
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was.
it's
And
not
there's
like they
time
can't
travel in
pull
a
things
lot
from
of Zelda games, so I feel like
Mhm.
that would be something they could easily bring back.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would. Mm.
I remember like a tweet from a couple weeks ago, and it kind of reminds me of how I feel about like game theories and why I'm so like I'm just like not just very good at those, where it's just kind of like, man, it's just a tweet that said like me reviewing movies. Man, this movie is like really good. And I'm kind of like, that's how I kind of am with video games. I'm like, I'll watch the trailer. I'm like, wow, that was like really good. And then I'll see like Game Explain with this like hour-long video going into like a 2-minute long trailer. I'm like, I do not look that deeply into stuff, apparently.
Stuff you never
I-
would have thought about.
When I edited the Zelda Universe video where Amanda was talking about there's a Gleeok in the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a Gleeok in the trailer.
See, I think that's kind of the cool thing with like I think for a lot of Nintendo games is like the lore and that sort of stuff is like there for you to play with and make theories of, but it's not like the super focus. So like it's because some games, some people just don't care about the story or don't want to go into the lore that deep when they play a game, so you
Yeah.
don't have to. But the way that it's like structured is that like if you want to go really deep into stuff, you can, and I really like that approach.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I agree with
accessible
that.
for everyone, but you can get pretty deep with it.
Mhm.
Yeah. like the reading of you could learn more about like Zelda's father and things like that in Breath of the Wild if you read the books. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't get that, but you could still have a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Something interesting that
Mhm.
I found out not too long ago was like I think in the original like Japanese version of the game, like I think a lot of stuff is written from like Link's first person view. It's like a lot of like eye and stuff, right?
Mm.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Or I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Finding
Yeah,
things out
so
all the time about this game.
he wrote it, so he
I
wrote
feel
it
like this will
down.
be the kind of game that Breath of the Wild and probably Tears of the Kingdom too will be a game where like 10 years from now people will still be finding out stuff for the first time.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because people are even now, all these years later, for the first game, I see people doing crazy things, and we're already getting a sequel. It's like it's gonna be
Yeah.
crazy.
Uh-huh.
So Jaxpol, I'm
I'm
gonna
excited.
go. Sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna
Mm.
go with Jaxpol's first comment that said, "I'm thinking the girl in the dress we saw in the second trailer and the hand reaching out to hers are the princess and hero from 10,000 years back. Rome, Impa, and Cass mentioned."
Oh man,
That
I mean,
that
because
like that like
technically
reminds me of
dead are
Final
being
Fantasy X
resurrected.
too.
Yeah, I mean, technically the dead are being kind of resurrected, so it'd be cool if like the ancient people or whatever, were part of that. It'd be, I don't know, it'd
Ooh.
be cool to see.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Like if Ganon was trying to resurrect his dead army and then,
Hmm.
everyone from the past, but then he inadvertently also resurrected like the old hero. And what if there's two links? Oh my god.
Yes.
Never even thought about that. That's good.
Be sick. That would be
Um,
so sick.
yeah, and like getting the ability to even like get more insight into the past. That'd be pretty cool. I'd be down for that.
Mhm.
I just want to know who the person in the dress is when she's like, help him. I'm like, who are
Yeah,
you?
I want answers.
Are you like a goddess? Are you an old hero?
Are you
Are
my
you
mommy?
someone we know? Are
It
you a
would be
new
cool to see the
character?
goddesses come back, actually. I haven't thought about the goddesses in a hot minute.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have some theories that they could be back because I feel like with the logo being like having the dragon design in it, and the
Mhm.
dragons in Breath of the Wild are named kind of after the goddesses, Dinral,
Oh yeah.
um like it sounds kind of
Fiore.
like Fervor,
Yeah,
yeah, and
Fiore.
Nadra for Nehru. I feel like that could play like the dragons could have a more important part, and then therefore the goddesses could be involved.
What if you have to harness the power of the dragon somehow? Like we couldn't hurt them or do much
Mhm.
with them except get like their scales and parts. Like what if it's a bigger element? Because we're in the sky. The
Yeah.
dragons are in the sky. Like,
True.
what if we gotta
True.
jump out and be like, get on a dragon?
What
If
if I
we
could
could ride a
actually be
dragon,
on
that
the
would be like
Dragon
dragon?
out
would
of
be the
this
Yeah.
greatest
game.
game ever made.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd be a
1,000%.
huge improvement.
Automatically better than Skyrim if you can ride a dragon and not just kill a dragon.
Mhm.
Jaxpol also asked, "What Breath of the Wild NPC do you want to see more of in Tears of the Kingdom?" I'd love to see Paya come back or come into her own, rather.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Beetle.
Beetle definitely.
You.
I kind of want to see like what this means for the Iga clan. Like if they're suddenly like, "We're justified!" Yeah, he's back.
I'm gonna say Riju only because like Urbosa was my favorite character. And I mean Riju's what we have now, so I'd like to see what they do with her character.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say Kilton, the weird monster guy who would only come out at night and like buy monster parts from
Oh
you.
yeah. I
Oh,
forgot about
He was
him.
Oh
very creepy,
yeah.
and I think his creepiness would fit in well in this game.
I think so. Maybe you could the stuff that he sells could increase, like his stock increases because he benefits from like this darkness that's gone over the world.
Ooh, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
let's see. Oh yes, Fushi with the shield is amazing. She has the sword too.
I do. It's on the back.
That's right. There it is.
Yeah. I'm ready to stab.
Ready for combat.
MG 1998. What I realize is that there is nothing related to underwater structures or underwater I think you meant to say exploration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like we're getting one thing that a lot of people said that we didn't get in Breath of the Wild that they wanted was like cave exploration and whatnot because
Yeah.
most Zelda games have caves and this one didn't have caves, and so now they're doing like caves to the extreme for Tears of the Kingdom. But you're right, it's no water, underwater exploration.
Plot
Yeah,
twist:
I mean,
Fushi is the hero of the old game.
I think they probably could make something cool, but also like swimming controls and everything can sometimes just be like more frustrating than they are fun. So I don't know. It would
Yeah.
be cool. Like they are exploring the underground a lot. I mean, in trails you saw a lot of underground areas.
Mhm.
It would be cool if they had like, maybe they had like an area that you had to swim like under to reach or something like that. That'd be if they could implement something like that. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You're kind of right, though. I feel like people miss underwater regions until they have to do it. How many people
Play under it,
complain
yeah.
about like the water temple and things like that? Like, I don't know. Do you really want water exploration back?
just
Careful what you wish for.
put me back in
I
the banana
want
village. Just bring me
I
back
want
there.
another ice level, please. I just want like a frozen ice and water level just to
Where I just fight
make
wolves for
everyone
an hour.
upset.
I
Yeah.
love sliding on the floor uncontrollably. It's my favorite.
I love when my moves miss. It's great.
Oh man. Yeah, Skyward Sword's underwater section sucked.
That's
Um,
true. I like Skyward Sword, and I remember those being a pain.
I
The
wouldn't mind water
music note collection.
exploration. I like that. Just like
Well,
let
since we
me
can build vehicles, let's just have them build a submarine,
Yeah.
and then problem solved, right?
give me a
Ooh.
boat.
Ooh,
Onto
what if we
something.
can make you know what I think in a way? You know how speedrunners would always like use the quote shield mechanic and all the different powers to create these unique ways of transporting themselves?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel like Nintendo kind of got inspired by that when I saw that car pop up.
Yeah.
I was like, this is some kind of stuff like a gummy ship that some speedrunner would make out of parts. Like it had that look to it, like you assemble it
People
in some
did
way.
make floating types of vehicles with
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
bombs and whatnot, and the magnesis. They would get like the mine carts from whatever the Elden region, and make actual flying machines. And I think you're right. I think Nintendo saw that and they're like, what if we made this an actual mechanic?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think they're leaning into all the crazy stuff people were doing in the first game. Which
Yeah.
I think that's what the car and everything like tells me at least,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like you said, people were making makeshift vehicles before, so.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then Jax even adds, with the armor system, though, there could be set bonuses to mitigate those physics problems, like no slip ice walking or free float. That could be a
Mm.
thing. Yeah, like you obviously still have to wear like the right stuff, and you could literally just wear like like boots with the cleats on so that you don't like shift
Yeah,
around
like
all
the
the
ice
time.
climber shoes.
Yeah, yeah. But just imagining Link doing ice climber stuff, just trying
Maybe
to, yeah,
yeah,
get
mountain
egg
climbing
plants.
Oh.
with actual rope and not a
No,
etc.
all I was thinking about was actual ice, like the Nintendo ice climbers, and there's a vulture at the top.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
have to get all the vegetables and stuff. There's a polar bear for no reason, just in Hyrule.
yeah, just in Hyrule. Don't worry about it. That would be a crazy nod if they went in that direction entirely and just have like a little ice climbers thing where there's just a bird sitting on top of one of the mountaintops.
Hmm.
And then it gives you an eggplant when you kill it.
I feel like statistically we're gonna see a lot more people like dying in the game from altitude and falls based on the way that the game is designed.
Probably, especially if you can just walk off like Sky Island.
Yeah, just be doing your own thing and then just be like, Dad, no! And then you have to find your way to get all the way back up, unless there's an easy mechanic for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because I feel like some of those makeshift Sheikah Tower things could be like portals to go up into the sky.
Hmm.
But then eventually, like, we see a hot air balloon at one point. Is that going to be a way that we can get into the sky? Like, it's very odd.
Yeah, like is it vehicle based? Like instead of horses, we have all these different methods of transportation to navigate the world. Like, I wonder if it's going to be bigger than the previous map or if it's going to be the exact same size.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, and I'm even wondering if it's gonna be the exact same map. I don't know if they're gonna like how much they've changed the map too. Like, it could be it could be the same map, but they added stuff above and below and they reworked things, or if it's just like an entirely different map. I mean, there's just so much that we still don't know, you know.
Mhm.
And we're less than 3 months out, and we
Yeah.
still don't know. But like, I
I
kind of
was
prefer that. I
shocked.
really like speculating.
What I thought would happen was we'd get a new trailer in the last direct, and then they'd be like, okay, well, Breath of the Wild will get its own separate presentation
Yeah.
just for the game, right? It will just get its own thing like they did for Splatoon. But they haven't said
They-
that yet. I mean,
I think they still
I
will.
would be surprised if they didn't do that, but I don't know. It's fun because I want to know more, but also I don't want to know too much, you know?
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Agreed. So let's go ahead and actually start the episode. So I'll go back to our intro. I meant to do not the intro and just do the Q&A, but I'm actually going to do the intro now. So we'll, you'll get to hear Popsky's amazing rendition of my theme song before we get started. So
All right.
thank you guys for all of your questions. Feel free to, continue chatting with us, and we'll continue to respond, and I'll continue to show all of your comments throughout the video. And we'll just let's get to it.
Yeah.
Shoot. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode 39 of DialogBOX. I am your host, Laughingboy, and today I am joined by three very lovely guests. First off, she is a staff writer for Twinfinite. You can catch her talking about more Nintendo games on the Nintendo Shack podcast, and you can watch her play games on Twitch. We've got Forrest Minish. Hello.
Hi, I'm excited to talk about Zelda. I love Zelda.
Yeah. Next up, we've got, you can watch her ASMR videos and Let's Play videos and streams on youtube.com/MissFushi. It's MissFushi.
Let's talk about some Zelda.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
I don't know if it happened for you, but like when I saw you initially say stuff, no audio came out, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Is
sometimes
Discord being rude?
Sometimes I just open my mouth when I'm excited. Like,
You got to get the reaction face.
Yeah, poggers.
Yeah.
There we go.
oh, poggers.
And then finally, we have Meme Lord and video editor. You can see his editing work over on YouTube for creators like Alpharad and Matt McMuscles. We have Ultima Shadow X. Hello.
Hello. Very happy to be here. I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. It's your first time here.
It is. And I, big honor. I'm glad it's a topic that, I'm excited to sink my teeth into. So.
Yeah.
It's the first time for MissFushi as well, although she's been on the streams a couple of times. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
how's everyone doing? How are we doing tonight? Doing
excellent.
okay?
Excellent.
All right.
good.
Now that
Surviving.
vibing, thriving, and surviving.
Yeah.
Enduring
Yep.
and surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Today
Wait.
was a day at work for me today, so I'm excited to just like relax and chat about Zelda with cool people.
Aw.
Always a pleasure.
As am I.
Mhm.
In case you are new to the show, in case you're like Ultima Shadow X and you're new to the show, DialogBOX is a monthly podcast where I grab all the people that you love to watch and force them to talk to me about video games for about an hour. You can watch the show live with video over on youtube.com/laughingboylp, and you can even join in on the conversation with our live chat, or you can get the audio-only version by going to your favorite podcasting service and searching for DialogBOX, all one word. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so by either subscribing to the YouTube channel and by chatting with us during the live streams, or if you'd like, you can, you can also like the video, and that lets us know by leaving a nice little comment. It really helps me with my serotonin, endorphins.
I
one of
just
those
liked
two.
it. I hit the like button.
There we
Everybody
go.
else should too.
See
I
how
like seeing
easy it
the number
is?
go up.
See
It's
how
so
easy
easy.
it is? So
See
easy
what I can
and
do.
free. It is so free to both like, comment, and subscribe. It's not Twitch. You don't have to pay for subscribing. We do what we can.
Yeah. Leave a like if you're watching this right now.
Right
Do it.
now. There
You have
we
no
go.
excuses.
No
I'm seeing
excuses.
those
No
dings.
excuses.
Yeah. PNG of gun overhand. If you can only take that Master Sword out and threaten our guests, that would be lovely. You can also support the audio podcast by checking us out and rating us on places like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to your favorite audio talk shows with a rating system. Well, okay, see, here's the thing. You stab somebody with that thing, they will die. That is so rusted. Everyone knows that a rusted sword is much more dangerous than a sharp one.
Tetanus? Is that when you get a tetanus?
Well, also, it apparently, like, if I'm getting way too into this. If you cut somebody with a rusted knife, it will actually make the cut worse because the knife is not clean and sharp. Not even just the infection, it tears the skin rather than simply cuts it. Yeah. That's
gross.
Learned that when I got my Totem chip.
Well, this one also has like Ganondorf gross on it, probably. So
He sneezed on it. Yeah, you don't want to be near
Yeah,
it.
he sneezed on it.
Ooh, Ganondorf cooties.
He touched it.
Kyle the Pug with a $5 super chat. You can also support the show with super chats.
Thank you.
So we definitely appreciate it. Can I? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. All right. This overlay thing is worth its weight in gold. Sorry for the audio listeners, but I can make the super chat appear, and it's all like super chat.
It's shiny.
It's so shiny. Here, let's do that again. Yeah. Look at that. Amazing. Beautiful.
I need to find out what plugin this is. That's really cool.
I'm going to send that over to you because it's so good.
Yeah.
It has saved me so much time.
Hook me up.
So in case you weren't here for the Q&A session, we actually were talking about Tears of the Kingdom during that, which you can definitely take part in if you are, subscribed and watching the channel. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about not only just Tears of the Kingdom, but we're going to talk about other things surrounding the Breath of the Wild, like storyline and games, and what we liked about these games and what we want to see in the future, or what we want to see from Tears of the Kingdom, especially since the game hasn't launched yet. It comes out in May. So I think the first thing that I wanted to talk about was what was, Breath of the Wild's done. You finished the game. Let's not even talk about the DLC yet, but you finished the game. You got to credits. How are you feeling with the experience that you had? So like, not even just, you don't have to rate it, you don't have to give me a number, just like, can you remember that long ago, honestly?
Yeah. This is, for me, it was very much an uphill battle for me to finish it. I remember it, for me, a lot. I felt like a lot of like the early experience was very hard for me, but once I got like over that hill, it just sort of like smoothly progressed till I got to the end, and I enjoyed my time with it. I think like I walked with the game saying like I can see, like I can get like what the game was going for, even if like it didn't work as much for me as I hoped. But it's a lot of stuff that probably could be fixed in a sequel. Like this is like a great starting ground to something that could be even bigger. I think that's how I felt when I finished it.
Yeah, I think similarly for me, there was like a sense of feeling high after playing it of, this is such an amazing experience. Like, this is really doing what they set out to do with changing the conventions of Zelda. And I rode on that high for a very long time. But then, as I'm going back to older Zelda games and kind of like what Ultima said, like kind of smoothing things out of, what they could do better. And I think that they are still trying to find kind of a good mix of all of the amazing innovations from Breath of the Wild and all the things that we know and love from Zelda that traditionally are in games that weren't in it. And just trying to iron out some of those problems that Breath of the Wild had. But just coming out of the game the first time that I played it, I was like, oh my gosh, like there were so many cool things in this game that like I didn't ever expect would be in a Zelda game, and there's still so much that I can do even after I rolled credits.
I felt like Breath of the Wild was one of those games where I enjoyed the journey so much, but when I got to the end, because I went and I did all the blight fights and everything like that. The final battle was so easy and over so
Yeah.
quick that I was like, "Man, I did not like the way this ended, but I loved the journey." And I just wanted to like
Yeah.
roll back before I experienced that. Because it's almost like the game isn't the finale, it's all the little bits and pieces that they put into it.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say it's so different than any Zelda game I've ever played. Because I played Skyward Sword for the first time after beating Breath of the Wild, and
Mhm.
Skyward Sword is so, like, you go here, you go here, you go here, it's like a guided tour
So
of their
different.
world. Yeah, and
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild is like, "Welcome to Skyrim, have fun." And
You know, it's funny
it's
that you talk
so
about the
different.
difficulty because I think this is
Mhm.
probably the only Zelda game that you could say is hardest in the beginning and
Yeah,
easiest at the
absolutely.
end. Whereas
Yes.
every other Zelda game or most other games are, they hold your hand a little bit more in the beginning and, ease your way through learning things. And then it's the final battle that's the hardest. Whereas, in Breath of the Wild, they literally throw you into the wild and they're like, good
Mhm.
luck, survive, you have a stick. And then by the time you're fighting Ganon, you have like the power of these dead heroes on your side.
Yeah, the king's like,
Yeah,
I
and
gave
I
you
guess
stick.
that
What do you
was like
want?
I guess that was like sort of the like I can understand it, you know, like I guess that was sort of the point was like it's meant to the finale being easy is sort of meant as your reward for like doing everything. But then
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of weird because then it's like yeah, but
Yeah.
I just did all this and it's just like over in like 5 minutes. Like it's weird because like I
Yeah.
get what the point was, but I think what could have should have happened was maybe if it like scaled to how much you had done or something along those lines to where like if you want to go all out and have everything you still would have like an easier time but also like it would account for that in some way. I don't know. But yeah, I
Right.
think even though that was the point of the difficulty curve, like for me I almost like I swear I almost wanted to like give up like the first like 10 like first like few hours. I was like this is miserable.
It's weird to think about how for a really long time in the beginning, like that game has this really steep difficulty curve because you have nothing, and
Mhm.
it's like the JRPG paradox where you have nothing when you first start, especially old JRPGs, and you really have to grind out and make sure that you're strong enough for the final boss. But if you grind too hard, I hate saying that sentence out of context, um, then it does wind up making the final boss too easy. And JRPGs have that issue too. Some of them. There are a few. I'm looking at you, Valkyrie profile too. They're still stupid hard, even if you're ready for it. And I feel like if Tears of the or Breath of the Wild did that, it would have to be scaled appropriately, like Ultima said, where it's like maybe they get rid of something that you had, or maybe they force you to like be at half power or something like that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's like you want that like challenge of a final boss, and I kind of felt that with some of the Divine Beast bosses, but that was me figuring out the game, not because I was too weak, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to figure out the mechanics, and this boss fight is new to me, and some people just breeze through it, and I was just kind of like, I did them first try, but it wasn't clean. It was very
Yeah.
messy.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, at least the journey in Breath of the Wild is incredibly fun. I did
Mhm.
have some friends, a divisive opinion, some friends who didn't like it because it was so different than a traditional Zelda. They
Yeah,
were like, it's a good game, it's fun, but it's not Zelda because it's not so streamlined. It's
yeah,
so open.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who like I'm a bigger fan of top-down 2D Zeldas, and I would say like I think even if there's like a lot of those conventions that I do miss, like I can appreciate it for attempting to do something so wildly different. And like I think a lot of my misuse come more from like the execution than they do the ideas. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Like I like when series take a risk and do something different because they have to, they have to evolve or something along those lines. But I think for me at least, like there were some older elements that I do wish like were there, but I can also sort of appreciate what it was trying to do as well. And again,
Hmm.
like all stuff that they can figure out or streamline if when in the next game for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, I think for how innovative it was and how many risks they were taking. I think they did a good job with it. You know,
Mhm.
not everything was perfect, but I wouldn't expect everything to be perfect on, the first attempt of doing something so crazily
Right,
different.
right.
Yeah, and it was fun, which is
It was
the
fun.
whole
Which is
point of a
important.
game.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
think like
fun.
everybody, what's cool about it is like I think everybody has walked away from it with like one story of something crazy they did or something that happened. You know what I mean? Like that's like the cool thing about the game is again it's about the journey. So the moment to moment gameplay is like incredible because you're always just doing something, finding something, experimenting with something, and so like it just feels like you're constantly doing something interesting, and that's like I think what it nailed perfectly for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, I think in terms of how I felt especially was it's weird because I really wanted to see the world after the whole
Hmm.
fight, and even in a way like with how a lot of open world games tend to be, they do one of two things. They either bring you back before the final boss and let you collect everything before you go and do it again, or they put you as after it and then you can clear out whatever you want to do. And I think Breath of the Wild definitely chose the former. So it's like technically the world is always in peril and you as Link always have to go, which is great. You get to do the final boss again if you'd like. But I feel like most open world games would just let you kind of do it anyway. And I think that's a thing. We were just talking about how, this is kind of Nintendo's first try at like a truly open world game. And I think in terms of that, like they definitely did some good things. And uh, a lot of outlets were praising Breath of the Wild for being like so different and this like breath of fresh air for the franchise. And yet I'm just kind of like, yeah, but there were definitely things that it could have done better, especially story wise, especially in a way that's like Skyward Sword. A lot of people claimed was like too handholdy, like you were strung along by the story, and that's kind of was Zelda for a while, to be honest. But I feel like Breath of the Wild went in a completely opposite direction. So how did you guys feel about in terms of Breath of the Wild as a story like as a narrative? How did you guys feel about that?
I think like for me at least, it's weird because I think there is a lot of people who think that if a game is more open and gives you more freedom, then that just means it's better or something like that along those lines. And I think like honestly, I think in terms of Zelda, I like when it's more curated and narrow because it's like it helps them put focus on specific things. And I felt like even though I liked a lot of the characters and some of the elements of the story of the narrative, I felt like there wasn't a lot of focus on a lot of stuff. It kind of felt like there was a lot of like notes off the beaten path. Sort of I don't know. There were some like high notes obviously, but I just felt like it was few and far between. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Sense, and I think part of that is because it's open. The story elements are there. Breath of the Wild has a story, and the more you explore and the more you find, the deeper the story gets. I would even say that Breath of the Wild has more story than most Zelda games,
Mhm.
but most people aren't going to find the full story. You're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to find all of the memories in a different order. You're probably not going to read every single, diary entry that's found in Hyrule Castle. You're probably not going to talk to every NPC that gives you some kind of information about the world. And what you do find, you're not finding it in a specific order. So you're kind of putting together those pieces of the story together in whatever order you find them, which might not always be the most logical.
Yeah.
So like what Ultima was saying, it's not like other Zeldas where it's a guided path and you're introduced to the story in a very calculated way that makes sense story wise. So it's not a bad form of storytelling. It's just totally different, and
Yeah.
everybody might have a different way of experiencing it, which is probably why people have so many different opinions about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As Aaron in chat, it's the From Software approach where the story is like it's in the game, you gotta look for it.
Mhm.
I think for me, like my logic behind it, or what I thought Nintendo's logic behind it was they couldn't be sure where you were gonna be and when you were going to do something and in what
Yeah.
order you were gonna do it in. And I think they were thinking too hard about how do we tell a story by doing that. And yet I still also feel like other companies have been doing open world games for so long that it's really just one of those things where all you have to do is just like do a bunch of checkpoints and tell the person to go there, and then they just can do it whenever they want. And so like, oh god, let me look. What's an
No,
open world
I
game?
get what you're saying. Like, I definitely think now. I do say I do think it's cool that if you don't want to engage with the story, like if you're someone who just doesn't care, you don't have to. I think that's good. But I think like for Zelda, because the story elements are just so core to the franchise, like I think I agree if they. Because I think you can have an open world game and still guide players to be like, hey, you should check this out first if you want. You don't have to. You know, I think if they even had a thing where, like you said, like if they had specific things like, hey, this you should probably go here first. You don't have to, but you probably should. I don't think that would be like that would take away from the openness of the game at all, you know?
Yeah.
I think
Do that
the
where they urge you to Kakariko like right off of the plateau.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, you're good. I was gonna say, I think something a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to how Breath of the Wild tells its story, like besides the books, besides the memories,
Hmm.
a lot of it is also the landscape. Because we're in this entire map that's been completely war torn and like destroyed. And there's the names of places, there's the way that items are placed and organized, where chests are, what kind of enemies appear. Like a lot of that to me told a lot of lore. Like I'd get to a new place, like when I first got into like Hyrule Castle and like I saw how destroyed it was, like all the guardians everywhere. I was like, "Oh my god, like a serious battle took place here." And it made me so excited. Like going through the different landscapes within that game was one of my favorite bits, and then also, I love to talk to NPCs, maybe too much. So I liked doing, like, the little side quests and things, like, there was the one with that I forget the specifics, but that, like, heart lake, that was shaped
Yes.
perfectly like a heart on the map. Because 'cause I'd always looked at
Oh
the map
yeah.
and I was like, "What is that? I have to go there." And you'd see something cool and be like, "I have to go here." And then, like, even some of the Korok puzzles, like when you saw, like, statues in a row with little apples laid like offerings, and I was like, "What if I put an apple there?" And you kind of learn. So I thought that that was really cool. That was something I really appreciated, was the
And
story being
people
told.
who miss those side quests, maybe they never
Mhm.
come across that lake, or maybe
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
explore every room in Hyrule Castle. Like they miss out on
Yeah.
that stuff, and that's not. I don't think that's like their fault. It's a huge open game. Like most
Mhm.
people aren't gonna find everything, but you're right. It's a different experience.
It's
Yeah.
hard, yeah, because not everybody is gonna have that same playthrough, and so there are people who are like, "Oh, the story is really good," and there's people like, "Well, there wasn't really one when I played,"
Yeah.
and both
Yeah.
opinions are valid, it's just you get out of it what you put into a game that's so open like this.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with a lot of it, and it really is just kind of like, I think as Zelda players, we're so used to this like long, all narrative. Like Metal Gears is a very narrative driven game, but it's also not a Zelda in that way. Whereas and Zelda also has like this very narrative driven idea that the story guides the player along, it guides the motivations. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, a lot of it is you see what's going on. Like you're almost doing it from the perspective of Link. Like it's more role playing in that way where you know about as much as he does because you're here now too. And you kind of like you're getting to see the world for the first time, kind of just like how he is, and then you're seeing all the notes that were left behind, and you're seeing all of the like different landscape and the storytelling that provides. So maybe it was just a thing where it's like as gamers, like we just kind of need to understand how storytelling has evolved in games since like 20 years, even just 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um let's see. And we got Edgardo in chat. It's like, I think Breath of the Wild doesn't push you to complete something immediately unlike past games to let the player experience the surviving. And then Kyle, Metal Gear is more than a movie than a video game. Yeah, I mean that is the thing though, because like Skyward Sword, for example, is a big epic storytelling thing, and then in between the story, you're doing gameplay missions by going through dungeons and things like that. Whereas
Mhm.
it's extremely open ended in Breath of the Wild in that way. Um, so was there anything in Breath of the Wild that you guys thought this could have been better? Like moving on from like storytelling and things like that. you're chuckling. You got something to
Do we?
say.
I'm just wondering if
long
we bring up
list
the
of
elephant.
things.
Do we bring
Yeah.
up the
Chuckle
elephant in the room?
Ultima's
do you
face
I
because
was
he
about
was
to say.
like, "I'm ready, boys."
Do you have a CVS list or receipt
Do we bring up
long
the elephant of
list?
the
Yeah.
room of weapon durability being awful, an
Ooh.
awful idea that should have never been implemented?
Oh,
Hot
so
takes.
you
Hot
are.
takes.
Not a big problem. I get why people hate it. I personally never had a big problem with it because I feel like I always had plenty of weapons, more than what my inventory can hold. I was constantly dropping weapons. That's how many I had.
See,
Yeah.
But that
I
being
The
said, I feel like
haves and the
people-
have-nots.
We need a blacksmith. We
Yes,
need
that
Ooh,
was-
that'd
a
be cool.
blacksmith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me use this
here's where
copper I've
I'm
been
at
saving
with it,
up.
right? I think for me, even like I get in retrospect that they intended you to like use weapons all the time and be constantly swapping, but I think gamer brain is just I'm never gonna use my weapons
Yeah.
because I don't know if I'm gonna need them for a better
I
moment.
might need it later.
Yeah, exactly. I might need it later, and so I just
Yeah.
at a point I was just like, this is a stealth game where I'm trying to avoid combat. You know what I mean? Like,
Aw.
and well, I mean, and I have sort of got like I can appreciate that in a way that it's like if you're creative, you don't really have to go and fight things. You could interact with the environment to fight enemies or that sort of thing. But like, I don't know. I think bottom line for me at least, because especially early game, that was like the most brutal thing. I if they just gave you like a weak little dagger that just couldn't break, like it could have had no range and do no damage, but at least you have something that couldn't break. Just I would think that would solve like 90% of my issues. I don't know.
If the Master Sword didn't lose power, that would be a good compromise because
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
even close to the strongest sword in the game. So I think a good trade-off would be, well, it's not the strongest, but it doesn't break or lose power.
Yeah.
Right.
What? Why did it have like that timeout? I don't understand. It's supposed to be the
Yeah.
master's sword.
A lot of people
Mhm.
just end up using it for like gardening and cutting down trees and stuff.
Well,
But-
it's such a weird thing too, because it's like it does like 10 plus more damage just by being in Ganon's castle, and it doesn't. I
Mhm.
don't think the game tells you that either. Like one of those things where somebody just noticed it at some point.
I think it glows. I think it
Oh,
does glow.
okay,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That makes more
Glows
sense.
like a goblin hunting knife in like fantasy lore. Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Oh yeah, Lord
like,
of the Rings. I remember.
with what Fushi was saying, like I think the easiest I think if they're gonna go in with like weapon durability, I think they either like it's either shouldn't be there or they go all in with it. And if you go all in with it, it's like you can forge weapons or repair weapons or you can upgrade like just do all stuff with like like full crafting with like weapons. I think if you have weapon durability, but you also have like that full ability to fully upgrade and craft and repair and that sort of thing. I think that also would be I'd be fine with that. I just think like Breath of the Wild takes like a weird halfway approach for me at least with weapon durability that I just like I did not enjoy it. I would either not be there or you make it a full thing, you know?
Fair.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
can
like that
definitely agree with
idea
that.
a lot.
Can I share what I wish
ahead,
was
go ahead.
different
Oh,
about Breath of
yes.
the Wild? So my biggest thing is I feel like the Divine Beast got very tiresome in terms of like thematically. I was missing traditional dungeons. Like I think
Yes.
it would have gone a long way if the Zora Divine Beast was more water themed, if what I forget all the divine beasts names. Whatever the Elden volcano one was.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
Whatever. I know I forget all their names. If one of them was like more fire themed, one of them was more desert themed, one of them was
Yeah.
more like wind themed or whatever. And I think they had some elements to that, but I really missed like the traditional dungeon experience or like feel of them.
Mm-hmm.
Between all of the 120 shrines feeling thematically exactly the same and the divine beast feeling exactly the same, it got very repetitive for me, and I think that
Yeah.
just would have gone a long way.
Mhm.
What they could do is like I think the idea of the I mean again, it's because of the innate structure of the game. The idea is that you're constantly coming across stuff to do and find. And I think that's why the shrines had to like were implemented, but I think they could have done it to where like maybe you have fewer shrines, but you like combine them so that they're bigger experiences. And I think that way it would feel more rewarding when you find one because like, oh yes, now I get to play through a bigger sort of dungeon like experience as opposed to like just finding one, you're moving on to the next one because then at that point it doesn't feel like they have much value if it's just okay, done, 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 done. You know what I mean?
Well, and that actually raises an interesting question for me because, like, do you think? Because I think the reason why there were like 120 shrines, here you go, was because they were making Breath of the Wild for a hybrid system that you might take away from the house with you. So they made these shrines as like, if I'm on the metro, and I'm just waiting for my next stop because I'm in Virginia, we call it metro. Sorry. Then, you know, I only want to do something for like 5-10 minutes because my next stop might be coming. I got to put the thing to sleep. But it's been
Yeah.
5 years since the Switch came out, and people have basically kind of idealized how they want to use the system. So do you think in that way, like, do you kind of, what do you think about that concept of like, well, the shrines were just there because we thought we were gonna mostly play this thing on the go. If most people aren't playing it on the go, do you think we're gonna see dungeons come back?
It's interesting. I mean, I think the handheld nature of the system did play into the pick up and play. Like, I would say, like, compared to a lot of open world games, like, I don't know, like something like a Grand Theft Auto or like a Skyrim, people, like, will sit down and do, like, big play sessions. Like, you don't pick up Skyrim and play it for, like, 20 minutes and put it down. You know what I mean?
No.
With Breath of the Wild, you could realistically play it in, like, 30-minute intervals and still feel like you're doing something. So, that's an interesting point. I think, like, for me at least, I think the other aspect was that personally, I think they don't want you completing the entire game. Like, especially with the Korok seeds, like they don't want you to do everything. They want you just to do the amount that you feel is fine along the way, so that you feel like you're doing something. But they don't think, like, they say there's 120 shrines. I don't think they really like it's they don't think the normal player is gonna get all 120 basically. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um,
Yeah.
that's yeah. So I do think that, again, going forward, I think especially if, I don't know, like, this is just speculation, especially if with this game might be something that be going into like a new hardware generation. I think definitely traditional dungeons, or at least bigger dungeon like experiences, I think should come back. Just because I feel like it just adds more depth to the overall experience. You know.
Well, and even
As
then,
somebody,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, somebody in chat mentioned the one shrine that was the island where you were stripped of all of your gear and you just
Mhm.
had to survive. I want to say I thought that was the coolest dang thing.
It
Like
was
it was,
something different. It was a
Yeah.
different feel than just
yeah.
walking in a shrine and like doing a little magnesis puzzle and then getting your orb. Like that one was memorable. You don't remember most of the shrines you did, but you remember that one.
I remember that because it was so impactful because it was like returning you to the beginning of the game after you'd done so much. And they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, everything's gone. Good
Yeah.
luck." And it made it into a puzzle. I'd love to see
Yeah.
more unique experiences like that. Because then weapon durability was a bigger deal there because you're like, "Oh, I only have so much I could access." And then it's a
Mhm.
puzzle. So you don't want to use stuff that you're going to need for other enemies on the island, and I want more things like that, more than just, like, put ball in cup.
Yeah.
You
No,
don't
like,
like
I think if
ball
they
and
had more,
cup?
if they had more
No!
restrictions like that, or they had, like, this is like, oh, here's a weird rule for this one. I think, like,
Yeah!
I know obviously they probably couldn't figure out how to do that for like 120 different ones, but like I said, if they like if they reduced the amount of shrines, but they made all of them feel more impactful or had some special thing
Mhm.
going on, I think that would be a good compromise.
Quality
Like, what
over
about
quantity.
stealth dungeon or, like, stealth shrines or, like
Or you have to use a certain weapon, or you have to do it a certain way. Like, it'd be an interesting way to do a puzzle, because I know they don't want to like restrict freedom too much, but it'd also be really cool if they were like, do it in this many try, or do it in this specific way, and then you have to figure out how to do it. You know?
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Like a poison gas room, and if you don't finish it in a certain amount of time, you get
Yeah, because
knocked
I mean,
out.
You
that would be
die.
so much better than any combat trial. I hated the combat ones. There was just like, this is just
The There were like 2, 3, or 4 of these shrines in the Korok Forest where there were sort of challenges like that leading up to the shrines.
Yeah.
I
mhm.
did those so early on I forget about them, but
Yeah.
stuff like that I think would be pretty cool.
Hyrule Knight saying in chat, that island was actually my least favorite thing in the game, even less than the weapon
Oh.
durability to each their own.
Oh no.
It was interesting to me because I'm just kind of like it, just as we were talking, and the idea that you've gotten so used to and comfortable with the game, now let's just take it all away from you, because it's not something you
Mhm.
can you're not supposed to very easily get to that island so quickly. So the idea is you've probably been playing this game long enough that you are figuring everything out. Now let's see what you've learned, because we're gonna take away all of your fancy clothes and all your weapons and all that cool stuff. So I can definitely, I think I'd like to see more of the environmental stuff, as we were kind of talking about, where the Lost Woods is a puzzle technically. The island is its own puzzle slash like thing, and just be able to kind of add a little bit more in terms of what can an open world game do, and maybe not be so hyper focused on at what order I'm going to be doing stuff in. And I kind of agree with all the combat shrines, where I liked them, but there was a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing to walk in and see like major test of strength or minor test of strength, and it was like, oh, another.
This
Do
one
you
again.
do you guys remember the labyrinth ones?
Yeah,
Yes.
there were those huge labyrinths, and they were just like a setup for like a shrine. I was like, they could have done something huge with these, right?
Do you remember in one of them, I think it was in one of the labyrinths, there was an area you could fall into, and it was basically like a guardian graveyard?
Yeah.
Or you thought.
Yeah.
And when they all came to life.
Yes.
That was the most impact.
So
I
good.
survived that, and it was the most impactful moment for me, where I felt like a badass. I was like, oh no, and just did everything perfectly. I want more. Give me more traps, like trick me and put me in dangerous situations. I love
That's
that.
actually a good point, because like a lot of older Zelda titles had be like bomb this wall or burn this bush, and you find a big secret, and like there wasn't really much of that. I mean, some of the Korok puzzles were like push a rock here. I mean, but there was just so many of those that they sort of just all blended into each other. It would have been cool if there was like more like big secrets like that.
I mean, I think Breath of the Wild is very reflective of original Zelda in a way, and in that regard, it I don't want to say you could do anything in any order you want. You really
but it just
couldn't.
Right there.
it gave you the idea that you could, but if you try to do level 6 and you haven't done anything else before then, you're gonna die very easily too. So there was this idea that like you would go, you'd mess up, you'd start over, and then you'd be like, well, I'm not going that way. And then you go somewhere else, and then you gain the thing. And like the whole map itself is a puzzle. Like it's the big puzzle that you have to figure out. And then ultimately you go through all these dungeons, and then you beat Ganon. Some of this, you know, whether or not you got everything that you needed didn't matter, but like you still did it. But then I think Breath of the Wild was almost that to 11. Like it didn't care what order you did stuff in. If you want to go to Ganon, you still got to get the paraglider first, but you go right ahead if that's what you want to do. So it's just kind of like I did enjoy that, and I think again, thinking about like the environmental storytelling, it really worked out in its favor that you could just kind of run around and see the world for what it was. I think the main thing for me is just like I would like to see. I would like to see traditional dungeons come back in a way where they are themed. Like I just don't want. I think Breath of the Wild was a good start, but there was a couple of things that were very milquetoasty about like you're just going to the same shrine, all the shrines look the same. So being able to kind of get that like the cool environments inside as well as outside that we already get, and just being able to like see more vibrancy and character with, you know, within everything, not just outside in the world map, would be really nice for me.
Agreed.
Yeah, theme dungeons sound good. I really want those. So they're more memorable. I think we all would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're back in Tears of the Kingdom from what we've seen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
from
like
what
I
we've
said
seen.
though, like even if they're not traditional dungeons aren't back, even if they do like that compromise where they just make each shrine feel more unique and expand on those, even if there's less shrines, like I think that would help out a lot more. Just so that it
I
doesn't
think there's
feel like
still
it's-
hope for that. I think
I think that could be
from
done.
what we've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the caves you guys mentioned before, like maybe some cave exploration. Maybe they don't all look the same.
Look, they got to fix caves in Pokemon Arceus. They can't do it in Zelda if we can't do it in Pokemon.
Oh,
Oh,
It'll be
man.
interesting to see how to handle like sky exploration too, as
Mhm.
well. That's like obviously the
We have,
biggest like
we have a
selling point
whole
of the
layer
game.
of a map now. I like how
Mhm.
the idea, the fix of what do we do to expand the map was just, build
Go
something on
up.
top of it. Yeah, go
just
up.
go up.
Go up. Uppies, please. So yeah, let's move on from Breath of the Wild and let's actually talk about Tears of the Kingdom, like I promised. Um, when like we kind of knew. Did you guys think that we were gonna get a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild when like before it all got announced? Were we certain that this was gonna happen?
Absolutely,
Felt.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
It
think like
made
once you
sense
make a
given
game
the
like that, you
success.
just yeah.
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 Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think we were about to say probably the same thing. Just the massive success of Breath of the Wild and the reception that I had. It would be silly for them not to make a
Yeah,
sequel.
I
Mm-hmm.
think you don't make a game like Breath of the Wild and then never build on it again. Like, I know Nintendo's weird, but they'll do something big experimental, then they'll pull back and they won't do it again. But I think Breath of the Wild is just on another level
Yeah.
where like you just
Yeah.
don't build something that huge and then just like abandon it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially considering how long it took him to build it the first time.
Of course, yeah.
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 If
I
you would have asked me, do I think it would take this long to get the sequel? I would have said no.
Yeah, I
With
agree. I
like
think, but
using
again, I
game
think
assets and whatnot.
well, I expected this to come out like definitely like sooner. I
Yeah.
think also it's a testament to like they did so much in Breath of the Wild that like thinking of how where do you go next definitely probably would have been more difficult than like you could imagine as well, especially with how players were figuring out how to break the game or doing all the crazy things in the game that I'm sure maybe they didn't even know were possible. Like it's I'm sure that there's just gonna be they have to be cooking something basically is what I'm trying to say.
No,
I
I
I
agree.
think I think one thing that I like is I remember way back I was talking with some IRL friends
Mm-hmm.
about the chance of a second game. And they were like, "Well, how can they make a second game? They can't just use the same map, like, that'd be boring." And I was
Mhm.
like, "Well, what if we went above the map and then this?" And I felt
You guessed it.
so
They went
cool.
above the map.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
my
like, "You
gosh, you
guys."
have bragging rights over your friends forever now.
Yeah.
I was like, "We gotta go somewhere." So, like, we go up and then literally seeing it go up, Nintendo is probably like, "What do we do, man? We gotta either go underground or go up. Let's make caves and go in the sky."
And you
Woo!
hadn't even played Skyward Sword when you said that.
No, I hadn't played Skyward Sword. So and then I got to
That's
play
fair.
that, and I was like, "Yo, we're in the sky!" So it's I could see people connecting them since Skyward
Mhm.
Sword, we're in the sky. What if what if some of the places from Skyward Sword appeared in
Yeah,
the
there's a
new
lot of
one?
people speculating that this ties into Skyward Sword, so it'll be interesting to see. Now, that being said, I know that the Breath of the Wild was like we didn't consider the timeline when we made this game or something like that, right? Because
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and at some
I mean the
point,
timeline was a mistake to
the
begin with,
timeline
but
was a mistake. We can talk about it later, but the timeline was definitely a mistake. But I think what they talked about was like how we have the official Zelda timeline, and we got Breath of the Wild just sitting in its own little corner. Like,
Mhm.
I think that was also kind of maybe Aonuma being like, "Fucking, I don't know." Like,
You
it
guys
doesn't,
made
I
us make this
guess.
thing. Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
forced us to make this. We didn't want to make
Maybe.
We
this.
didn't want to do it. Yeah, it's I think after being asked enough times where something fits on the Zelda timeline, Aonuma was just like, make something up. Whatever. Where do you think it is? That's the one. Got it. I've already
Yeah.
printed it in the next Hyrule Historia. That'll be $60, please.
Basically.
Cole always does that though, because when people are like, "Are you working on a new Switch?" before the OLED, they're like, "No!"
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
And then it came out and I was like, "See?" And they're like, "Well, you know."
Wink, wink.
My
We
favorite
should.
story about Nintendo is like they're the biggest gaslighters in the game industry because they literally did the thing where the Nintendo DSi was a rumor and Nintendo legit said the Nintendo DSi or whatever you think this whole thing is, it's dumb. It's never going to happen. It's the like I don't even know why you would even believe it. They announced it the next day. The very next day.
That's
Like
funny.
they made this big stink to the press about how like the Nintendo DSi doesn't exist and you're stupid for thinking that. And then they announced it the next day.
They always do things on their own terms. Like,
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
they are the
that's the
tellers of
Nintendo
their own
way.
story. And that is
Mhm.
both a
But-
good and a bad thing. Sounds like a Nintendo move? Yeah, absolutely. It is.
I don't know. I like the Nintendo chaotic energy that they have very much. Like, they know what we want. They know that we'll buy it.
Yeah.
They know that they need to do it. Like, we're
Mhm.
all just pawns in
It's-
their
That's
hand.
right.
They're enigmatic. Like it's just really funny when you think like, dude, every time like I always have discussions because whenever there's like a direct announcement or there's like something planned, I'm always like discussing with friends like the bingo card of like, well, this logically it makes sense that they would do this, and then it's like, well, I mean they don't apply logic like in that
No.
no.
You gotta stop thinking about that, man.
You gotta
This is
stop
Nintendo.
thinking
Fans think about it way more
Way,
than
yeah.
we do.
Well, it's just kind of like
So-
they're
oh
so
my God.
distraught when it doesn't happen exactly the way they thought it was.
Yeah.
Pokemon Company, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's what they do.
That's a whole other discussion.
That's
Mhm.
next month's episode. No, I don't know.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Is that what I want to invite on? More Pokemon
Pain.
discourse.
Pain.
Pain. It's just pain all the time.
Mhm.
Being a Pokemon fan is basically just waking up every morning in your 30s and just feeling pain. Nothing works anymore. Everything
Hey,
is broken.
I still have my old games. I got Pokemon Yellow. I got Heart Gold. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I even got
we're
Let's Go
chilling.
Pikachu.
Hey,
Like,
to
that's
be
good.
fair, Legends Arceus was honestly such a banger. I'm
Yeah.
shocked at how
It was
awesome
so-
that game was.
Oh, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hear people say Arceus and Arceus. What did you call the phone in
Yeah,
the game?
no, it's Arceus. It's not the Arse phone. Like even if I say Arceus,
That's
just
what
because
I want to say.
Arceus is like ingrained in my head because I always said it like that since I was really really young. But like yeah, it's Arceus. You can't even like deny
I
it.
think
It's just
because
like hard to
arc for
communicate.
I always say
archaic.
Arceus.
Here's
Yeah,
the
it's like
thing.
archaic. Archaic.
Oh yeah, okay, that
Or
makes
like
sense.
the Ark, like like Noah's Ark or Ark sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be Arceus because it wouldn't be the Arse phone, but still.
Well,
Let me
here's
pick
the,
up my
here's the
arse.
thing. Okay? If you pay attention to the Japanese word, it is Arceus. It's Arceus. 100%.
Mhm.
Word
But
of God,
phone-
it says it's Arceus.
But in localized, arse phone.
Yeah.
Arse phone.
Well, and that's the thing. So the rumor is that they localized it to Arceus because they wanted to just get away from the arse part.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of like we don't want, well, especially since it's British people and how they say arse, I guess. So they were just kind of, let's just avoid that. We'll call it Arceus, and then the RKS system makes
That's
sense.
True, in Sun and Moon. You're
So,
right. I forgot
The
about
fact that they call
Oh.
it the RKS system, it makes sense to just call them Arceus.
Man, you're flipping everything I knew about Pokemon upside down.
It's Rayquaza.
Stop it.
Like saying Rayquaza. I like the sound better.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has their one Pokemon they refuse to pronounce differently. I will not say Verizon, no matter how much a Pokemon company tells me to say Verizon.
It's Verizon?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus
Because in
Christ.
Pokedex, like
I don't even
Oh,
want
the
to know
Pokedex
the
app, yeah.
pronunciation.
Yep,
No,
yep,
I don't
Pokedex
even want to
Pro.
know them. I just want to call them what I call them. Just let
Yeah.
me be ignorant.
I hate that
Yes.
it's Swalot, because I feel
Oh.
like if you just silence the T, it becomes swallow. Gulpin to
yeah.
swallow.
Yeah.
And
Wait, what do you say?
It's Swalot.
It's like the big purple stomach thing.
Big
that
Yeah.
purple
eats
thingy.
everything.
Big purple
And how
dude.
is it supposed to be?
Swalot.
Swallow.
Because he swallows a lot.
But
swallows
the T should
a
be
lot.
silent because it's swallow.
Well, I don't think it I think
Swallow?
it should. I think that's a missed opportunity. And I almost wonder if the person who localized it and wrote it out thought it would be pronounced swallow. And then somebody at 4Kids was like, Swalot! And he's just like, no, oh no. printed it.
Speaking of that, speaking of missed opportunities,
Yeah.
biggest missed opportunity. I don't know if Zelda. I'm saying if Zelda isn't playable in Tears of the Kingdom, that's the biggest missed opportunity of all time. I'm not gonna lie.
People have been saying that since the dawn of The Legend of Zelda, and I don't know. I I don't feel the intense need to play as her that other people do. Like, I think it would be cool.
I think, like, for me at least, the way that I saw that this game with the Tears of the Kingdom could work, because, like, Zelda's there with Link at the beginning. I thought it'd be super cool, right? Hear me out. You have the map, and no, it's Link and Zelda, and they get separated, and then you could do things with Zelda on the map and link it with things on the map, and you just gotta, like, try and get them back together, and it'd be like Pikmin 2. You know what I mean? How Pikmin 2 is the two captains, and you could just do different things.
But that is that, like, Zelda doesn't do combat. She does not
right,
fight.
She'd have different set of skills, in my opinion. She could do more tech stuff. I don't know. I just make it work. I want Zelda playable.
Maybe New Game Plus. Maybe you beat the
Yeah.
game and then you unlock a skin and you can play through it as Zelda, and then we can all be happy.
Well, like,
Yeah.
Because
what if they did the thing where they finally make a Zelda game where you just create a character?
no.
See, but that's the thing. I
It's
think
gotta
Link
be
is always
blonde,
meant to
damn
be a
it.
self-insert.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
Link is always meant to be a
I'll make the most
self-insert.
hideous creature possible.
Link is so important.
No, I know there's some games where I really like making my own character, but I feel like, not every game needs to be that way. I like
Yeah.
that Link is an established character. And I know the original, like, purpose of Link and, like, his name was to associate ourselves into the game with a character, but I feel like it's just, like, different now. He's a character.
Oh.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Although-
need to be us.
I could see a game
Yeah.
in the future where, like, this is a different hero of time and you can customize him in some way. Like, I don't think that's, like, out of the question, but, like, I think Link is already meant to be a self-insert still. So, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
imagining like a Zelda side story where you play like a townsperson and like Link comes in to smash your pots. So you like go on a revenge quest to
Oh, I thought...
go beat up Link, but then it winds
kinda
up
like
you wind up
Tucko mode.
saving. Yeah, you just wind up saving Hyrule as a result.
Okay, but just give me a Linkle game at that point. Linkle's so
Ah.
good.
Linkle.
Just make her
Linkle's back
an
and she's
official character.
pissed.
I can't take her name seriously. It just reminds me of PP.
I wish they named her something else. Like, she's cool, but I can't.
Yeah.
I know.
I tell you what, I gotta take a Linkle over
Linkle.
there. Sorry.
That
Gotta
was
pause the
silly.
stream.
Yeah, what
Um,
about like, I don't know, Linka or something
Linka,
else?
Link it.
Link.
Linka.
It's funny, because I
No,
remember
that's
when
worse.
Breath of the Wild first was revealed, the first trailer. I remember there were a lot of people who thought that Link was a woman in like
Yeah.
the trailer.
I
Who's
remember
that
that.
chick?
In which trailer? Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild?
Very, very initial reveal of Breath of the Wild. People.
Yes, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Link was a
And there
woman.
were so many
Yeah, I
outlets that
remember
were
that.
just like, "Oh my God, the Mad Lads finally did it!" And then Aonuma's like,
You
"Did
look
what?"
a little feminine.
They longer hair. They were like, "Oh, it's a girl," and I'm like, guys, it's not how that works.
No,
Yeah.
you just think like that because she's a pretty looking girl. Linka was right there. Thank you, Captain Planet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. So now that we know Tears of the Kingdom is happening, we can't stop it. It's coming. It's what 3 months basically.
Yeah.
Wait, shoot. What day
Mhm.
is today?
Less
Man.
than that now.
I
Less
should
than
have
that
planned
now,
this
yeah.
for the 12th. What was I doing? Anyway,
what's the actual release date? It's the 12th of
May 12th.
May 12th.
Woo!
I
That's my birth
honestly-
month, bruh.
So I'm not gonna lie, I planned this episode for this month because my dumb brain said, "Oh no, it's coming out in March," because the first game did, and I'm stupid. So, so we're doing it now. Thank God that direct happened because I didn't plan it for that.
It's so weird because,
I
like,
need a
again,
whiteboard.
it's like, I don't, obviously I want to go into the game with some surprises, but I also want to know, like, something like that, like, I don't know, it's so weird. How are we 3 months out and we barely know anything? Like, you
The
don't gotta give
marketing
me
has
story
been
beats,
unusual
but-
for this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like Nintendo literally has to go in order of what is coming out next. And that's why when they were like still advertising the Kirby Deluxe, and I'm sitting here going like, what the hell? Like, isn't Zelda coming out like next month? And I'm like, no, it's coming out in May. Kirby's coming out in like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no, I forgot. Kirby's out in like a week. Is it? Or is it next month?
Yeah, no,
Should
it's
I have
like
done
next
this?
week for sure,
Can we
yeah.
start over and we'll just do a Kirby episode?
I'm down. I'll talk about Kirby all day. I love that little guy.
Poyo, indeed. Remember Dream Buffet?
Poyo. Poyo. Waddle, Bandana D, best boy.
Yeah.
Yes, I was so sad. I wanted Bandana D in Smash really badly.
I know.
That would have made a
Precious
lot of people happy.
But unfortunately,
Yes.
this is Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm try not to get too far off track as I do.
Unfortunately, it's Zelda.
Unfortunately, we gotta
Darn
talk.
it.
Sorry, guys. Shoot. Shoot,
None of
dang.
us. We don't like elves and elf ears and
We like
stuff like
characters that are
that.
perfect circles with weird appendages coming out of them, and probably
Yeah.
human feet. Speaking of human feet, so what? And it's a top. No, we.
Let's go.
Let's go! Yay! Yay!
This is a free podcast. They're not paying
They're
that
not
much.
paying for the feet, but well, no, we got
shoes.
we got two super chats, okay? We got two super
Oh,
chats.
true.
So they paid for that. That's not what I sold that for, but it's what it is. What it is. Do you still have that feet mod with the eyeballs?
I do.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Do you want me to? No, I won't. It's
Well,
too much.
Wait.
Looks like
Will it
it's
still have the
crazy.
sword and shield?
Only if I put it. Hold on.
Hold on.
I'll do it first. I don't want to
so
take attention.
No, because
take
this is gonna be great for TikTok and shorts.
Okay.
I don't want to take attention away from. Okay, hold on.
Could you imagine me
Get
being
banned.
banned from TikTok?
Is this
because
going to
of
be a
this?
reveal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
Okay, hold on.
All right, I'm in my seat. I'm at the edge of
All
my
right.
seat.
I don't
That's
have
right.
the sword and shield, though. Hi guys.
That's incredible. What?
I'm a foot.
Now I'm disappointed that you don't have the sword and shield.
I'm a little, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I can get it. Hold on. Let me just. I gotta grab. Okay. There's this.
There we
That's
go.
good.
There,
There's
let's
very good.
go.
A
There's
real
my
feat of strength.
sword.
Oh,
Now, what
there we
needs to
go.
happen
Good
is
pun, good
somebody
pun.
needs to mod this into Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we
Okay.
go.
We
We're
s-
equipped.
we
good.
can't get a female Link, but we sure as hell can get feet.
We just get a foot. Yep.
That's
Oh
good,
no,
that's good.
the eyes move and blink independently of each other. What?
Yeah, I can blink.
Can you do the the one at a time?
Oh my gosh. This is incredible.
I can hard
Oh, there
eye.
we go.
I can be blushy.
Wow.
Mad.
Oh no, she's so
That's
mad.
good.
Yeah.
Kyle
I'm
says
sorry.
he's gonna hunt.
Listen.
Sorry, by the way, for all of you listening in on Spotify and can't see anything that's going on,
Oh yeah. Let's.
youtube.com/laughingboylp.
You're missing out
You're
if you're not
missing
watching.
out on.
it.
I'm
On
gonna
the
get
foot.
so many creeps now. Oh man, and now my viewership is dropped. Oh well,
Isn't-
it is what it is.
This is content. What do you mean? This is peak content.
This is peak content.
You cannot get this anywhere else.
I will return to normal.
All right.
Really?
That was the
Let me grab
distraction I
myself.
needed to come up with questions and things. Who-
Okay.
I don't have.
And
notes.
I should be good. Hold on. Let me see. There we go. And oh,
Oh,
She's back.
She's back.
I'm back.
feet of the
Sorry.
kingdom.
Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Please stay. Please stay.
I look away for cooking and come back to googly eye foot. Okay. Toes of the kingdom, guys. Toes of the kingdom.
Yeah.
There we go.
They just announced
Yeah.
it.
Just announced.
You can
Yeah.
only play as Princess Zelda in Toes of the Kingdom.
It was all a dream.
That's the compromise, right? Everyone wants her playable, so we'll give the people what they want in monkey's paw fashion.
Monkey it just
Exactly.
curls.
Yeah.
Oh, just like a foot. Anyway, so moving on to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, not Toes of the Kingdom. So do you think that, so we talked a little bit about the timeline and we talked about how like Breath of the Wild is like on its own. We've even discussed some fan theories during our Q&A session. But I kind of want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys predict the story is going to be about? What are you looking forward to? Maybe, wildest dream happening. What are you guys looking forward to story wise? And where do you think that this is gonna like place it on a timeline? Do you care? Like, are you okay with it not being in the timeline? Are you just as tired as Aonuma is?
I think, well, for me at least, I've always had the I always liked the idea that Zelda stories were sort of more self-contained and like yeah, there were nods to other stories or other plot lines. Like if you saw like picked up on it, be like, oh, that's a cool little nod to that or a little reference to that. But I've always appreciated Zelda like it can convey sort of its own story individually in each game. So for me, like the entirety of people like how does this tie into other games? Is this still in its own space? Like I don't really sweat about stuff like that because like I also can sort of understand that Zelda games were never really meant to be super interconnected to begin with,
Mhm.
you know? So yeah, that's not that in that regard it's not like a big concern of mine at all. I'm more interested in how it's going to tie in with like the previous game, obviously, you know.
Yeah, of course. Minish, how about you?
I don't know. I feel like I try not to go in like hoping or expecting too many things about story. I love that this one seems like it's gonna be pretty dark,
Mhm.
like, closer to things like Majora's Mask or
Yes.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And I made the bold prediction that I think Zelda is going to die, the princess is going to die, and Tears of the Kingdom refers to that, and that um part of the quest will involve trying to revive her, and I want to see them take a risk like that and do something dark that they haven't done before like that.
I actually thought that they would do something like that too when we saw the last trailer. I
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
like, they're gonna take her away. And Link is gonna have to work with someone else who I'm assuming is that mysterious person in order to, save the world. And Link obviously cares very deeply for Zelda. Like, I always liked how their connection wasn't always romantic. It is
Mhm.
in some games, but not in others.
Mhm.
So I would love to see Link kind of go through the pain of
Yeah.
losing her.
Oh my
And
god, wait. You just made me think of something when you
what?
said
What?
find somebody else. Okay, so you know how the Master Sword is broken in this game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Ooh.
know who is in the Master Sword,
Yeah.
guys.
Oh
Let me get
yeah.
some.
Does
What
she?
if that mysterious woman is a humanized version of Fi?
That'd be really
Maybe.
cool. Because I always thought, I honestly, Vi was a cool character who just ended up getting the short end of a stick. Like just
Yes.
Yeah.
they forced her to be tutorial bot, but that doesn't mean she was like a bad character. She just got
No.
put in a
Yeah.
bad situation.
Totally,
I,
totally.
And it'd be cool to see that sort of aspect of Vi return being some sort of like guiding spirit or voice for Link when he has no one else to turn to. That'd be an interesting way to do
Ooh,
it.
the Master Sword, when it gets destroyed in the way that it is, happens during the loss of Zelda. Maybe she's able to come out of the sword using the last of her power and leads Link on a journey to repair the Master Sword. And the Master Sword is the key to saving Zelda.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, maybe even if she's not dead, she's sealed up or somewhere where or kind of could be like spirit tracks, or she's sort of like stuck in some ethereal form, you know,
I
and you
want
have
to
to
see
restore her.
death. I want to see the darkness.
Me too.
yeah. I didn't get to really see Link die. He died 100 years ago.
That's true.
I want to see
Yeah.
blood on that kid.
I just wonder, like,
Gosh, I'm so
speaking of that, I
excited.
just wonder what's going on with the arm. I don't know if the arm like a curse? Is it a blessing? It's like I
Yeah.
kind of almost felt like at the end of that last trailer where Zelda was like, I'll give you my power or whatever. Maybe like Zelda's like trapped or her spirit's in the arm or something. Like I don't know. It's interesting to see what they do with that aspect of it.
Mention the Triforce because, like in
Mhm.
Ocarina, like the Triforces were represented by being on each of their hands. Even though we
Yeah.
haven't super played into that lately in the newer games, like, what if his part of his Triforce is taken?
Oh, that's
That's my
Yeah,
theory. I'm
Yeah,
super
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
excited about
think,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember, Rebecca, you had posted that where like, what if his arm was taken away to get, like like a secret agent trying to get into a room with a fingerprint, they just chop the hand off and put the
I love
thumbprint
the
on.
arm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how Ganon gets the Triforce.
It would bind him to Fi, because then it would be like she's broken, he's broken, and Zelda's broken because she's dead. So like
It's
you
pretty
have to
broken.
repeat.
I think we
Yeah,
all just want to kill off Zelda. Is that like
I want her to come back at the
Seems
end, but
seems
I
rude.
want, yeah. I want to
Because
see that real darkness.
it would be cool to have like super serious stakes. Like I noticed like the stakes were pretty high in Breath of the Wild, right? But to me at least, I think because of the pacing of the game, even though those like supposed high stakes didn't feel as high because it's just like I could just dawdle around and just take my time and take all the time I need, but I think like if there was such a serious thing where like Zelda's dead and you need to go fucking revive her, I would feel like, okay, I really need to go and get this done immediately, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Skyward Sword
Mhm.
did it in a very interesting way where you weren't this like cool awesome hero and you were always late and you were kind of berated for it to a degree. And I felt like that actually drove player motivation because you're like, I'll get him next time. But then like you were saying, like I think it's not that we want like death and well maybe we do. I think what we want is like high stakes motivation to drag the player along. I think this is like the first game or Breath of the Wild is like the first game in the series where we actually it really isn't. It's like the second game in the series where we actually get to see like the consequences of failure, because Ocarina of Time is very much that. Like
Yeah.
when the 7 years happens, but it's kind of like this like Christmas Carol-y vibe where it's like I can fix this if I do this, that, and the other thing. But in reality, with Breath of the Wild, you're still there. Like you don't just go back after you saved Hyrule in the future and then go back to the past and save that past.
Right.
And then, but with Breath of the Wild, like everything is still the way it is. So that created a high stake environment, and yet it was so chill with pianos. So I think it would be more interesting to kind of get a high stakes like character motivation in order to drag the player along. If that involves like people getting hurt, definitely. I mean, I'm trying to fathom what's going on with Link's hand. Is it like his hand actually coming off and being replaced, or is it sort of like there's like an anime character or
Like
a
a gauntlet, it could be
JRPG.
like a gauntlet, we don't know, or something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
either that or it's just like,
Uh,
it's like shriveled mummy hand. Like it's still his hand, but it's been
Yeah.
tainted. And so that I'm probably more on, side curse than like,
Mhm.
but is maybe due to the breaking of the Master Sword. And if Fi is like somehow involved, maybe she like is capable of stopping the spread, and then he can do cool telekinetic stuff.
What
Yeah,
if
I think we can agree that the purpose is so that we can have the Sheikah Slate mechanics through the
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they work that in like story wise.
I would love if they went like did any of you guys play Sonic Frontiers?
Yeah, of
Yep.
course.
Okay. Um well, an element of that without, being spoilery at all is, Sonic trying to overcome darkness that
Yeah.
is affecting him. It would be very cool if the hand was some kind of darkness that was trying to make its way into Link and Link has to do certain things to fight that away because that could be something we haven't like we've seen Dark Link,
Mhm.
but we haven't really seen Link grapple with his own evil if he even has any at all. Like
Right.
that could be very interesting.
I
Like not
think
only
like
does
yeah, I like that idea a lot of where like maybe you have Link more of a character who sort of has to deal with their own,
mhm.
inner like pain or something like that. Like again, like especially if he loses Zelda, like he's gonna have a lot of negative emotion, a lot of
Yeah.
Yeah.
harboring ill towards maybe the world and because like it's just cruel or something like that. But like the
Anger.
other aspect that's like tricky is because I as much as I like that idea, I again if Link is also meant to be more of a self insert, maybe they don't want to like make the player feel that themselves like you know what I
Hmm.
mean. I don't know, I like that idea, I just don't know if they would go for it because again Link's sort of supposed to be sort of a blank slate for the player as well. It's kind of a
Mhm.
tricky balance because I personally like when Link is more of a character, like Skyward Sword especially, like him there and his relationship with Zelda in that game is probably my favorite in the series in terms
Yeah.
of their dynamic.
Same. Yeah.
And I feel like Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild, one of the areas, because I understand what they were going for, but like I could not help but laugh when there were like super serious cutscenes where Zelda's like pleading to Link and Link just no
Bears.
response. You know what I mean? I just thought that was funny.
I always
Yeah, I think they
wonder,
can still
yeah.
give him like emotion and character without saying anything. But you're
Mhm.
right, he did just kind of stare a lot. Whereas like you see other games like in Skyward Sword or Wind Waker where he was very expressive and he kind of was a character with a personality. Doesn't have to talk.
Right.
I think a
We need
man.
more
Oh, go ahead.
expressions.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, we need more expressions for Link
Not
to see
like
his
a sword
feelings.
or sun and moon Pokemon protagonist,
Oh,
happily staring into the eyes of
no.
death.
Just super smiling.
So that made me think like a man versus self storyline would be cool, but it's really tough for like you said, a blank slate character who doesn't talk. But we also know that it can be done if you have a side character, and with Breath of the Wild, we didn't really get that, unless I'm mistaken for something. But do you think that we could see a partner character in Tears of the Kingdom? Do you think it's going to be Zelda? Do you think it's going to be Fi or somebody brand new? Or Tingle? Does Tingle finally get to be a fairy boy by helping out Link defeat Ganondorf, beef jerky?
I think I think it depends on what they're going for with the narrative, because I do think if this is like a darker storyline where things are collapsing around you, I think like you do need some sort of voice or guiding sort of thing with you to help you sort of guide through. Like Majora's Mask had, was it Tattle? I think Tattle was named in Majora's
Yeah.
Mask, and then I like that their character actually amount, because they sort of reflected more on like Skull Kid and then what's going on in the world. They sort of had offered a perspective that sort of was not only a voice of like a character, but sort of like someone like reflecting their thoughts on the situation. And I think something like that, even if it's just like, again, like something of a voice or like a spirit, I think that would be really cool, especially if it ends up being something like Fire, like we have discussed before.
I'm wrong, but this Breath of the Wild was the first 3D Zelda game that didn't have a companion, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking,
I
yeah.
know Wind Waker is like a little iffy with, the boat guy with the King of Red Lions was, kind of the closest thing to a companion in that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was a purposeful choice in Breath of the Wild because the game was meant to feel, you're out in this big world alone. It's like a very
Yeah.
isolating feeling. You don't remember anything that happened 100 years ago, and you have to piece that together.
Yeah.
So I think we don't necessarily we're not supposed to have that feeling in Tears of the Kingdom. It's not going to be as isolating, I don't think. So I think it's possible that we could have a companion come back.
Yeah.
I would like that too. Cause yeah, you're right. I didn't really think about that. Like in most games, you've got like your little tutorial and or move the plot along creature of some kind. And
Hmm.
in that you didn't. I wonder I wonder if they would do that. I feel like I'd kind of like to see that. I don't know.
Even if it's not someone who's with us like all the time, like Navi or Fi or whoever, like, I could see it being more of like a Wind Waker scenario where maybe, it's like, do you remember how he had that little stone where Tetra could like kind of talk to him through it?
Yeah.
Maybe something
Yeah.
like that, where we can like hear that mysterious woman's voice at certain times or
Yeah,
whatever.
because actually, it's really funny to bring back Sonic Frontiers really quick. Something that happens during that game is when you're running around the open environment, sometimes Sonic just will make comments about like, "Hey, this is reminds me of this," or "This is really cool." And like, obviously, you
Yeah.
can't have that with Link because he doesn't talk. But like, it'd be cool if you had like in the big open space, you had like a little voice, like the guiding voice of that woman being like, "Oh, this is where this happened," or like, "Do you remember this?" or something like that. That could help sort of expand on the world if you like choose to
Yeah.
go to certain places or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Cuz in Frontiers it wasn't spoilery. It was just
Yeah.
little comments.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Mhm.
really was just Sonic being like, "Oh, look at that thing." But I think with like Breath of the Wild, it created this kind of like almost lonely experience too, because you are just kind of you're dashing about by yourself with like very calm, not quite atmospheric, but in a way sort of atmospheric tunes. And it was you literally against the world, in this big empty, not in a negative way, but like this big open space. So really a lot of that dialogue, and I think like the main reason why like Tattle and Navi were around were because of Z targeting. They needed something for the player to look at when you're doing Z targeting. But they kept going with the concept because Link can't talk. So if you have characters speaking for him in this like Jack and Daxter kind of way sometimes. But like having a character with like that personality and being able to like speak either what the player might be thinking or feeling, or just trying to tell and talk about the environments like Ultima was saying, and just kind of being an extra voice would really help if that was the way that they wanted to go, especially with like Link, if Link's having some kind of man versus self issues with the I'm just gonna say, to me, I think it's like a corruption. Like the hand is a corruption in the same way that the Master Sword looks corrupted, and busted and rusty. Like you left your damn PS Vita in the charger for too long, the battery exploded, and this is what you're left with. Vita means life, y'all.
Really quick, because you mentioned the soundtrack. Like I don't even know how you. I did not care for the like. I understand why the music the way it was in Breath of the Wild, but like I have nothing. There's nothing memorable besides like Cass's theme to me, at least. Like I don't know.
Theme is very memorable.
I wish
love the
there were
music, and I think there's a
more-
lot of memorable tracks.
I don't know. I just wish there were more like
Yeah.
set piece music, because I don't know. It just felt like
Harry
one ear and out the
Town.
other.
Harry's Town music piece, how that evolved as you were rebuilding the town, and
Yeah.
every time you added someone, it added another instrument, so you went from like this like quiet little tune to like this fully orchestrated masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what about the Guardians? When that sound
Guardian
goes off,
theme,
you cannot
tell me
tell
you
me
don't
you do
hear
not
that
have a
piano.
panic
Okay,
attack.
yes,
It's
that's
difficult
every
for me to
time.
call it a song though. It just feels like
It's the
my
anxiety.
phone's
Song
going.
of terror.
It's a ringtone.
It's a warning.
The Molduga theme, as soon as you strike it and then it changes, that is like the best theme in the whole game.
I think a lot of the fights have like songs to them, but almost everything else is kind of like, I can think of pieces of the song, but I can't think of the song itself. Like if somebody
The
played
Korok Forest, you can think of the Korok
there's
Forest.
that. I can think of that. I think if somebody like played me a Breath of the Wild song, I know it's from Breath of the Wild. That's the
true.
thing. Like it has such a vibe that I'm just kind of like, that's Breath of the Wild. And I feel like even Sonic Frontiers tried to do the same vibe sometimes too. Like I'm not gonna remember all like the songs that people remember from Sonic Frontiers are just
The boss
fights.
fights.
That's it.
Oh my god.
Like screamo music starts happening, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
what
my
is
butt. I need
going
my
on?
butt rock, man. It made me
It's funny
pumped.
though, because it almost feels similar in the sense of like with Breath of the Wild 2, like there are some songs like again that I think are memorable, but like it's weird because like they're so much just better in context. It's like they're not songs I would like go back and listen to just to listen to them, because I want to like experience them. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen to them when I work on like the Nintendo radio. I'm like jamming to like the field music.
Yeah, chill songs
But
to study too.
Mhm. I get what you mean though. It's for somebody who may not be into that style of music, it is a more like background
Mhm.
kind of.
Yeah.
Atmospheric more
Yeah, it's
than
atmospheric rather than like
soundtrack.
set pieces,
Mhm.
for like other games. Like, Kingdom Hearts, stuff like that. Things are a little
Yeah, I'd love for
different.
an instrument to come back, like an ocarina or, something that
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
play
good
a song
good
to
point.
do things.
I would love that. Or like a flute of some kind, like singing, like just playing this beautiful flute like off into the sky. Like
Summoning
just
dragons
something.
with a flute.
Oh
Oh.
man. They should
Oh.
definitely do more with the dragons for sure.
Yeah.
I think they will. I think Dragons is going to have a big part in it one way or another.
Oh
Yeah, because you were
yeah.
saying
And the
because the
logo.
the logo has the
Yeah.
dragon sort of incorporated into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like an Ouroboros-y kind of thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think what I'm personally looking forward to most is just hopefully getting just more and getting that expansion of Breath of the Wild content that I thought was really good. Especially when it comes to, I do like the combat. It does feel good. It was a little bit annoying when it felt like dungeon filler with the shrines and everything, but I did actually enjoy the combat. And going back to like way earlier in the podcast, I am personally okay with weapon durability, but I feel like in Tears of the Kingdom they could probably improve on that in some way and try to make certain things that might, like, if all you wanted to use was bombs in Breath of the Wild because you hated weapon durability, you're not going to kill things very quickly. So maybe come up with something else so that like you can kind of you can have one way or the other. Wow, I sure did lose my train of thought there.
Well, I was gonna say, to build off the combat, I'd like there to be more like unique, interesting combat moves and attacks, because I felt like I didn't have a big issue with the combat. I felt like everything just went to flurry rush. It's just you flurry rush everything.
True,
like,
true.
That's like a reward for you dodging, but I felt like a lot of combat just boiled to flurry rush. It'd be cool if there were more. I don't know, like if they expand on Link's moveset a bit, I think that'd be really, really cool. And like also like because we've seen like the ability where like he sort of goes through the ground, like more like abilities like that I think would be really cool if those are like something that is unlocked with progression, if you get more cool abilities like that.
Link
Like
uses
the
dare.
sword techniques in Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or even some of the like the roll dodging techniques that he uses in Wind Waker too, like.
Yeah.
And
I love the combat in Wind Waker.
And even
Yeah.
then, yeah, so yeah, Kyle even said it in chat. So like we need different parries. I think that'd be great. I think even like maybe more so even taking like a number from Age of Calamity and just kind of like what can I do with either the Sheikah Slate or my hand now that can actually enhance combat? Like instead of doing like flurry rushes, I could just like, you know, with the hand, can you like just do, it would be like this cool animation where like Link dodges and then with a certain button press you just pick up something with the hand telekinetically and just toss it at their heads or something like that. Just like being able to do more. God, I wish Zelda was one of those kinds of games where they just go into the ridiculous, like
Like a
you need,
platinum
go
game?
Ashura's
over the
Wrath
top,
kind of
like,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, like you fight Ganon on the moon and stuff. Like that's
Welcome
what I want.
Welcome to Bayonetta Tears of the Kingdom.
There we go.
Yes.
Fly me to the moon and let me play amongst the stars.
Just kill somebody with a train. You know, do things that Bayonetta does.
That's how
Clock
that's
tower.
the
Just
Spirit
imagine
Tracks
Link
should've
doing the
been.
poses.
Yeah.
No, I support that.
Yeah, he's
I
got long
want Link
hair.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can do it.
He just creates a gigantic. No, he just like he goes on a Sheikah Slate and just like calls up Uber Eats, and then like his driver shows up, and it just opens up a box, and a gigantic dragon comes out and just bites its head off.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you
Or
Did I
go.
roll-
the Master Cycle is like brought back into some way too. That would be
Ooh,
really
yeah.
funny.
And Link
Jay, might
slaps
be able to
its
build
butt
it.
like Bayonetta
That's
did
right.
to
You
those
gotta
horsies.
if you gotta build a Master Cycle now, that'd actually be really, really sick.
Yeah.
Someone brought up a great point. It's also due that Link doesn't have the other items that he used to, like
Yeah.
the hook shot, boomerang, things like that.
That's true.
Like those were
Mhm.
things where when you were playing the other games, you could be like, "Oh, how do I want to approach this battle?" And there were so many different options instead of, I mean, there were boomerangs in Breath of the Wild, but it wasn't, it wasn't necessarily structured the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't know people who regularly would like run the game with a boomerang
Yeah,
or
and then like a lot
a
of those
leaf.
tools also create cool combat opportunities where it's like, you had stuff like the Gust Jar where you would have to suck off parts of enemies or blow stuff enemies back or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. Like cool opportunities where you can interact with a lot of the key tools that you have unlocked throughout the journey.
Items affected enemies in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
True.
Yeah, that would be nice if
Mhm.
if we had some items that didn't just go away or had longer durability and we had the blacksmith like we talked about.
Mm.
Then you could sort of change your loadout when you go into a dungeon.
Oh man,
Like
and wands, you're right. In Chad, it'd be cool if there was. I mean, maybe that's what the arm has. Maybe there's like some sort of magic element to like
Oh,
the
that'd be
arm, where you get
cool.
some sort of magic. That'd be
Yeah.
cool too.
yeah,
Get some
depends on who
Unreal
the girl
5
is.
effects.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah.
like again, if Zelda's dead and her spirit's there, maybe she like gives you, because she said she's gonna give her power or something to you in that trailer, right? So maybe you get some magic. That'd be cool.
I'm just imagining she
asked,
talks to you
uh,
through the hand telepathy. I'm like, are we just talking about Forspoken now? Like, is that this game? Link's
just wanna see
gonna turn around and be like, I just blew shit up with my
this
mind.
is crazy. I'm in a magical world and I'm talking to a Sheikah Slate.
I want to see the fan comics if Zelda lives in his hand. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
gonna happen.
Oh boy.
Well, see, that's the
Oh
thing.
my
That's
God.
them holding hands. That's the connection. See, it's the same hand. She goes through the fingertips into the hand.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
you
this
know,
is
the
gonna
same
be,
thought that we just
so
had.
obscure, but
I
there's
get
a
you, MissFushi.
Capcom
I
game
get you.
called Bionic Commando, and in Bionic Commando, in this like
Bionic.
remake of Bionic Commando, it's
Oh,
revealed that your arm is your wife.
that's right. I forgot. That is so dumb. So dumb.
Zelda gets out of the hand at the end of the game, and her eyes are just dead, and she's like, Link,
I've seen way too much.
yeah,
way
we're
too
never
much.
gonna talk about this again.
No. All those times when the player put the Switch to sleep, didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
Oh my god. Those are the tears of the kingdom. Tears.
You should see it.
Can we get some eggplant emojis in chat?
Oh,
Are we
Oh,
allowed?
man.
Okay, I'll behave now. That was my one moment. I let out one of
There
my
you go.
thoughts.
Everyone cried.
By the
Oh
way,
boy.
I don't know. It's not confirmed who's voicing him yet, but Ganon, like I think it's supposed to be Ganon's voice. Ganon's voice is so good.
Yeah, it's Matt Mercer.
It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds
I,
like
don't-
a
I don't
voice.
think it is. I'm sorry. I just laughed because Kyle just said, I mean, she's been right so far. So you never know.
Oh no.
Oh no! I know the anime that Jax is talking about too. There was an anime where a girl got turned into a guy's hand.
Midori no Hibi.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, she had a crush on him, and he was like, "What?" And then he had to navigate life with the hand as the girl who has a crush on him.
But like
Yeah.
at least I'm just imagining actual like mini Zelda on his hand, just judging him for everything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Still
show.
disturbing.
Still,
Oh no! Oh no!
I saw what you
Poor.
did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Zelda. I'm really sorry to do that.
We did you dirty, girl. Sorry.
We love you, Zelda.
Love you, Zelda.
Heart hands. Heart hands. If I could do hands, I would.
That's right. Well, that'll be hopefully that'll be the next update, and you can do hands.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So what else? So I talked about what I wanted to look in Tears of the Kingdom. Is there anything that you guys would like, in addition to what we just talked about, maybe even story-wise or gameplay-wise? Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to maybe happening?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cats. There's no cats in the Breath of
You
the
can't
Wild
pet-
world
you
like
can't
there
Wait,
pet the
hold
were.
on.
You can't pet the dog.
Nobody stream can see your cat.
Aonuma knows what a cat looks like.
Yeah, show the cat.
Link holds them in Twilight Princess. There needs to be more cats and more holding of animals in Tears of the Kingdom.
Cats should
I've
be
been
a way to
watching-
attack enemies.
Yes. I've been just
I
staring
think-
at your cat this whole stream. Just
He's very needy.
so cute.
We
Yeah.
love him.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Zelda needs cats. I agree.
Anything else?
I think there's like I think for me at least there's a lot of quality of life changes that could be done, like being able to heal without having to open the menu and just scarfing all the food at once. It'd be cool if there was a way to just heal. There's like a lot of minor like quality of life things like that they could definitely address to sort of streamline the whole experience. Because
Mhm.
there are parts of the game like where it feels like it could be like sort of death by 1,000 paper cuts, or there's just a lot of small things that
Mhm.
pile up.
Yeah.
I think
Like
what also is
chests don't stop beeping on the like just sort of small
Oh.
annoyances like that, but they could like address a lot of those quality of life things. I think that's what I would like the most, aside from like the bigger changes that we talked about. But like there's a lot of smaller stuff too that are just like minor nitpicks that could easily address. And I think also I'd like more meaningful upgrades. Like again, I don't have I understand the purpose of the Korok seeds and everything like that, but at a certain point it just didn't and stamina like upgrades and stuff like that. But at a certain point it just didn't feel like I was I'm already so powerful. I'm adding more doesn't feel like a reward to it. You know what I mean?
That's fair. I understand
Same
that.
with the Great Fairies too. Like I know you could
Yes.
upgrade your tunics and stuff like that, but it was very marginal. Like it was not very necessary to do.
Yeah, and once you got something really good, you didn't go back to those other clothing items, so it was kind of
Yeah.
like pointless
Yeah.
almost. Also, the rain. I want
Oh
something to be done
God!
about climbing in the rain. Can we get some
Yes,
gloves?
You just
forgot about
unlocked
the
a
biggest
core
or
one.
memory.
something. As
I
someone
so
who,
Whew.
yeah,
no, hear me out, right?
yeah,
Hear me out. This
yeah,
could be crazy, because
yeah.
like, so one of the problems with like you said with the rain,
Mhm.
the only way to really deal with it is just like you gotta wait.
Yeah.
What if there's a way to affect the weather? Like they give you some sort of crazy tool where you could do weather stuff. That'd be so
Like
awesome, right?
like a Song of
Like,
Storms.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a song, storm, sun song,
Mhm.
whatever. Or I really thought at some point in the game I was gonna find a tunic or climbing boots or something that would make it
Yeah.
so I can't fall, like I can't slide down when I'm climbing in the rain. And I never found anything like that.
Yeah. I I really wish that they would do something for that because I feel like as somebody who explores entire maps like before I even get started on the main quest, I was like, "Oh, this feels like an artificial way of holding me back." It's kind
Mhm.
of like a Pokemon blocking your path in like a game. It doesn't feel
Mhm.
legitimate. It's like, I know why this is
Mhm.
here. And you're like, if only I could combat this rain, I could get to this point. And you're like, I'm the hero of Hyrule, but I'm too wet to climb and my fingies are
My
getting all
fingies.
loose.
Oh
Like,
no.
I'm like,
I
come
can take
on.
down a Lionel, but my hand slips on a rock.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
take
it's
two
tough, man.
daggers and just work your way up the mountain, Link. Like, come on.
Well, like
You know?
that would be a thing that clothing can fix. That would be something that I started laughing because I was like, what if you just like had a food that you could eat that would help you climb in the rain? Is because it makes your hands all sticky. So you just like eat a whole bunch of sticky rice, and so you can now climb the walls a little bit better.
Like a
Um,
potion made with frogs.
like
You
a
like
potion
peck the
made with frogs,
sticky
Oh.
or lizards.
and
Like,
then
because
Yeah.
oh, I was gonna say, I feel like a memory all of us had is climbing up really high in the rain, repeatedly using food to heal the stamina,
that's
and
right.
then you get to a certain point, stamina's gone, no more food, and you're like, "Guess I'll just fall and die." Like,
I do remember that from my childhood. Yes, that's correct. Once or twice.
I did that many times.
Well, I think I've died to falling in that game more than I have enemies. Like,
That's
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Or
the true
ragdolling
enemy
to
of the
death.
game.
Yeah,
yeah.
physics. Yeah, so I think like all those are pretty cool. I think again I'm looking forward to maybe at least finding some way to mitigate the rain, or hopefully they're just like, maybe we don't need to be so realistic in this fantasy game. And they just let you climb rain or shine. But either way, it's surprising that Nintendo made a video game and is charging $70 for it.
Yep, I was gonna say $70 issue. Like, I'll say briefly about it is
Yeah.
like, I think certainly Breath of the Wild is a game that's like big enough and has enough content and scope going on that I could see why it'd be 70. I just like it's kind of weird to me that it's 70 and it's not like we're not like on a next gen Switch. It's not like a Switch Pro game or something. So I think that's like weird. And then but I'm sure we're gonna find out like all the huge crazy changes that explain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But right now, that's like
Yeah.
I don't. That's where I'm at with that. And by the way, you can use the Nintendo Switch game vouchers to
That's
get it, so
right.
it's not that big of a deal. But still, like I'm just like surprised that especially because with if you think about Zelda games, right, for the most part, they usher in a beginning and an end. So like Breath of the Wild was on Wii U and Breath of the Wild was on Switch because it was like to
Yeah.
bring the two. It's like with Twilight
Middle of the
Princess with
generation.
GameCube and Wii. So I was like surprised that to see that like Breath of the Wild 2 wouldn't be for like a Switch and a Switch Pro or something along
Or
those lines. You
whatever
know what I mean?
the sequel to
I think
the
it
Switch.
eventually will be. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm surprised that
Remastered.
I'm surprised that it. I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm surprised that it happened before the next gen, like you said.
Yeah.
I do want to say I just found out that that Tears of the Kingdom is going to have the biggest file size of
Oh,
any
that's right.
Oh,
first party Nintendo game. It's
love
the
to see
biggest.
it.
I forget how much it is. It's like 18, 20
Yeah, it's not like
gigabytes or
Red Dead
something like that.
Redemption size, but like yeah,
No,
it's
it's
pretty
not like
big.
that, but I think it's safe to say that this is their biggest game yet, like literally.
Yeah, and obviously they've been
Uh,
cooking for so long on this. They have to have something huge that we just don't know about
Mhm.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have a total opinion about the price change because I am going to purchase it anyway,
Yeah.
but I do agree I do agree with what you guys said that it is strange that it occurred when there wasn't like a big revelation of any kind, at least not yet, like a new console that it's for, or something that justifies the increase.
Yeah.
Other than they've been working on it for a while, but yet like,
But we've been
you
working
know,
really
I don't.
hard.
The reason why
Yeah.
it is because they know that we can. You said that you're gonna buy it no matter
Yep.
what.
Yeah.
There's
That's true.
millions
I
of us that feel the same exact way.
I need it for content. I'm streaming this
Mm.
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
the
I got a
thing is that
job.
I'm
I
gonna
want
make that
food.
$70 back.
yeah, so I think my stance overall on $70 games is like, again, as you said, like if it's something that like is has like a big enough size and scope and that sort of thing, or like has enough content, like I don't personally have too much of an issue with it, but like so that's why like I think Breath of the Wild could definitely beat that game. I think the problem for me with other $70 games is like I haven't felt that it was justified yet, and still on with
Right.
this game, I'm still on the fence of like what is it going to be the huge like breaking point for the game, but I'm still confident that obviously they've been cooking on it for so long that I'm confident that they have something really really big. So we'll have to see. Like I said, I would not be shocked if they did like here's a Breath of the Wild 2 presentation 20 minutes like they did for Splatoon 3. Like, Splatoon 3 of all games got its own dedicated like 20-minute direct presentation. I don't see why Zelda wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be nice, and I feel like it might help people understand why they're doing what they're doing, or just make the internet more mad at them. I don't know, but
Mhm.
Either
either
way,
way, I'm
can't wait.
curious. Yeah, I'm so excited.
So excited. Well,
Yeah.
again, Tears of the Kingdom will come out May 12th, 2023. So we'll just have to figure out what happens on May 13th, 2023. But until then, I think that's going to about wrap it up for tonight's episode. I just want to say a big thank you to all of my guests tonight. And let's just do like a quick turn and burn around the room and let everyone know what you guys are up to and where to find you. We'll start with you, Rebecca.
Yeah, so again, my name's Rebecca. I am Forest Minish on Twitter and Twitch. I like Nintendo games and I like talking about them and I like cats and I don't know, I just do a bunch of stuff and come chat with me about games. I like games.
Yeah, you can find her on twitch.tv/ForestDiminish. Same name.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto this. I will talk
Absolutely.
about Zelda literally whenever.
Yeah.
just like hit me up or whatever. It's fine.
Totally.
Yeah. Next up, Fushi, where can we find you and what are you up to these days?
Well, I used to be a Twitch streamer, but this year I converted full time to YouTube, and I am loving it. I'm a VTuber, as you can see. Basically, just a cartoon character, but underneath this, I'm just like all you guys. Um, I do ASMR, which if you haven't heard of that, it's like relaxation videos involving whispering, sweet words of affirmation, and strange sounds. It's really weird. You should come check it out, but not if you're my friend. Don't come check it out. And then I play games. And this month, we are currently playing Link's Awakening on the Nintendo online service.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah. And also Morrowind. I'm playing Morrowind for the first time,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
right.
really
Oh, that's
fun.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Morrowind characters are hysterical. The dialogue is so funny.
I'm loving it. I've got a few basic mods on that make it a little bit different, but nothing that cheats the game. So it is broken. It's beautiful. I love it. Mhm.
And then Ultima Shadow, where can we find you and what are you up to?
Hello. So yeah, I'm mostly Ultima Shadow X on Twitter, Ultima Shadow X on YouTube as well. I post a lot of random videos there. Basically, I mainly do work for a lot of other people. So I would say right now a lot of my the videos I do are for Matt McMuscles. I have occasional stuff for Alpharad and Vernius as well. If you've ever heard of those, so definitely like, follow me on my platform so I can keep up to date on where my videos are being posted. But yeah, thank you for having me. It's my first time. I had a lot of fun. Always down to chat about video games. I could do it all day. So
And I definitely am here to listen and talk sometimes. But yeah, and thank you so much to all the super chatters. We've got Inyo Dragon with $4.99 as well for good night, all you beautiful people. And
Thank you.
It is going to be a very good night for me because I actually got this episode to happen. It happened. It
Yeah.
occurred.
It's fun.
And it
Dude,
didn't. What's that?
I was gonna say, my friends always say, man, YouTubers and content creators are like the worst to organize.
Mm-hmm.
We all
Mm-hmm.
suck.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's hard because everyone has their own schedules and stuff. So like I totally get it.
I'm surprised I even like am able to try because I am the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's always lovely having everybody on here and just chatting for a little bit. But if you want to find me, you're here. So you can subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can always go to youtube.com/laughingboylp, and you can watch the video version of the podcast. You can even watch it live when it occurs, including special Q&A sessions that we do before the episodes for those who tune in early. You can also find the audio-only version of this podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search, all one word, DialogBOX. So come back here next month for more video game talking. But until then, this has been another fantastic episode 39 of DialogBOX. I actually said the number this time. Good night, everybody. That's her wave. That's how she waves.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
that was
have hands.
She's just waving like stickly over here.
Can your next model be just a hand to go with the feet, and then you have your just a full hand?
The hand
There
holds
you
the
go.
sword, the
There
feet
you
hold
go.
the shield.
Yes.
I can